right now, there is no Giannis Antetokounmpo trade market. There is no Giannis Antetokounmpo trade discussions. He has not asked for it. The Bucks are not looking to trade him.
So that was Wendy yesterday. This is Monica. That's Alan. And Jay Will, should I be now acting under the assumption that Giannis is going to be on the Bucks next year?
What were his words? Again, just so I can clarify.
Reportedly, and now this is a man whose primary language is Greek, and he's speaking to people whose primary language is Portuguese, and it's all being translated into English. So there's a great deal of uncertainty about whether, in this age of Google Translate. Wow. But what he apparently said is the finals are different. I hope to be back soon with the Bucks.
All right, so the operative word is hope. Hope to me is not a commitment. Hope to me is a prayer. I hope I could be the president of the United States. Doesn't mean that I'm going down to D.C. and I'm renting out office space right now. Okay? Like, to me, that feels like it's a positioning because Giannis's brand is uniquely different than the like of a KD or LeBron James. Like, he's not going to say, hey, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. Right. Or he's not going to be like KD, the undermining of people on social media or the hard things he said about people before. He's always going to be the loyalist to a fault until he isn't. So what Wendy said, I think is correct. The market has to bear the right opportunity. But to me, that is not a commitment. That's just somebody saying, hey, look, I want to be here until I don't want to be here anymore.
Okay, so let's see what happens. We've been acting under the assumption this would have to be done by the draft, which is just a few weeks away, but it doesn't have to be. These things can be done anytime that they get done. Let's live in a world where Giannis isn't looking to get out of Milwaukee immediately. We have speculated so much about the Knicks and their future, and Monica and Alan, you know them so well. Does this mean Kevin Durant goes directly into the front burner? Kevin Durant to the Knicks, is that the right thing should it happen?
I don't know if that really follows the plan in New York when it comes to continuity of their roster. They've already changed the coach, and we'll see what happens with whoever they hire. But to now all of a sudden make a trade for a megastar who makes $54 million at 37 years, going to want a contract extension. It's going to cost you players. It's going to mess up more of that continuity you're looking for. You have a team that got to the conference finals, and you'd have to literally blow up more of that roster to make a big move. But I'll say this, Monica, if you're looking at the East, you take a swing now to try to win a championship, and that's the kind of swing you'd have to take.
Well, on both of these guys, whether you talk about Giannis or KD, what position are you going to be in after you acquire them? That's the thing that stands out to me. Like, we ask, is the Bucks the best place for Giannis? Well, there's continuity there. He knows that roster. He's familiar there. He's invested in the community. If he were to go to the Knicks, what would that look like? Would it look like he and Dame, in terms of the stars that they had in Milwaukee, just make it New York? And so I think New York is in a good position. My personal philosophy, Greeny, on basketball is year one is very tough for it to work, which is why Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson this year were so successful. I'm with Han. The coaching change is going to be big enough. Obviously, you made this move because you believe that the next guy can get more out of that roster. Does more equal back to the Eastern Conference Finals?
If you're Leon Rose, you're not going to make any pivot right now. You're still going to see what the market and the fruits can bear, right? So it's not like, hey,
what does that mean?
Well, because Giannis isn't off the table. Why is Giannis all of a sudden off the table? Because a report comes out that says, I hope I can win a championship with the Bucks. Like, who knows who you can get as a coach? Who knows what you're giving up? I think there's a lot of things still on the plate for the New York Knicks right now.
I guess what I'm saying is their best chance, the Knicks are as all in as a franchise can possibly be, right? You go to the conference final and you fire the coach. You're saying we think we're on the doorstep. Mm-hmm. Are they better off keeping the roster together as it is?
I'm team keep.
Say keep.
I'm team keep the roster because your coaching change is going to be a big enough change, right? Why did you change the coach if you
But
don't
are
think the
they
next
good
guy
enough
can get
to
more?
win the championship as they are generally constituted as a roster?
That's why whatever you're going to do has to be about what the weaknesses were, which is the depth of this team. And if you're going to make a move, to me, that's where you focus a lot of whatever you've got left to spend.
In the margins,
I was saying, let's clarify. Keep your core roster. Support staff, bench guys, yes.
If Giannis is available and I've said this, and he says New York's the place I want to go, I'm sorry. That's
quick final, very quick.
I'll just ask you, Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, incredible players. Will their bodies hold up for another incredible run? It's a legitimate question.
And is that the duo to take them over the top? I have to save it there. I'm coming back with much more of that. We've got football still on the menu. Shit's in the air. Let's do a windy watch because we're getting closer and closer to the draft, which means if there were going to be trades, we're going to see them. Windy, we haven't talked about this man in a while. What is the latest on Giannis?
There's a reason we haven't, Greeny, because Giannis Antetokounmpo has gone overseas to travel with his family. He has made no trade request to the Bucks. He has made no trade hint to the Bucks. The Bucks are proceeding with their offseason as if Giannis is going to be with them, and there's no significant trade talks right now. The plan is for Giannis Antetokounmpo to be a Buck. Now, he can change all that with a simple request, but that request has not happened, and it's not clear that it's going to happen anytime soon.
All right, next up is Kevin Durant, because that's another huge name that could be changing places. What's the latest on KD?
Well, this one is a different story. I do believe Kevin Durant will be traded in the coming weeks. Today, the Suns are naming their new head coach, Jordan Ott. He's at an introductory press conference. They've been going through that process, and I expect them to look into the Durant trade market pretty soon. Now, there are going to be a handful of teams that have interest in Durant. The key with Durant is this. He has 1 year left on his contract. Is he going to want to sign an extension, and is he going to want to be a part of the process of the trade? And are the Suns going to let him be involved in the process? That's a key factor going forward.
All right, and I want to come back to him, but I want to tie it together with the Knicks coaching search. We know they made a move away from Tibbs. We've got the Jason Kidd reporting out there. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so the Knicks absolutely would like to hire Jason Kidd to be their next head coach. The question is, will the Dallas Mavericks allow them? And that's really where this is. It will be in the Mavericks' court here. The asking of permission is a formality. If the Mavericks would agree to send Jason Kidd to the Knicks, I believe he would be with the Knicks. There's not going to be an interview. The question here is, what would the Mavericks do? The Mavericks have three choices, Greeny. They can just say nothing. You know, last year, for example, the Phoenix Suns wanted to hire Chauncey Billups, and the Trailblazers said, no, he's our coach. They could negotiate a new contract with Jason Kidd to make him not even think about the Knicks, or they could trade him. And I'll just point out, 11 years ago, Jason Kidd did this exact same thing. Wanted to be the head coach of the Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, got himself traded there for 2 second-round picks. So the league is waiting and watching for that.
Okay, so Alan Hahn, you are around the Knicks and the organization day in and day out. Am I living in a world where by the end of this month, 2 Hall of Famers, Jason Kidd, who is in the Hall of Fame as a player, and Kevin Durant, who most certainly will both be with the New York Knicks?
I think anything's possible at this point because you don't fire a coach like Tom Thibodeau if you don't have a plan, if you don't have something already in mind that you know that you can go right to. Now, the thing is, you don't just do it immediately. Number one, there's an NBA Finals going on, but this does feel like a franchise that looks at opportunity in the East and says the time to strike is now. And they're going to try to swing and swing big. Jason Kidd has a relationship with Jalen Brunson. He coached him there already in Dallas. He certainly has a relationship and a mutual respect with Kevin Durant. We have seen them interact several times, even though they have not worked together. It is obviously something for the Knicks. That would be a huge swing that would set a tone in the East to say that the Knicks are trying to win a championship, and they're going for it right now. KD's going to be 37 when the season begins next year. This is not about the next 5 years. This is about right now.
Absolutely, and that's why, Wendy, I was bringing this up yesterday, and to me, if I'm Jason Kidd, if I'm Kevin Durant, if I'm anybody with options, even Giannis to some degree, I'm staying away from the West. If you have the opportunity to be in the East, with the injury to Jason Tatum, the East to me feels wide open for the Knicks or any other team that feels like a contender. The West is a murderer's row. Is that a factor in all of this when you consider what Jason Kidd might do and what Kevin Durant might do?
Without question. I mean, that's probably playing into the Giannis decision. Giannis is looking around at the East saying, you know, I've got a team in Milwaukee here that might be able to do some things. So definitely, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm looking East. I think the key thing, and Greeny, this is going to keep happening over the next month, and I'm just going to apologize in advance because when I start talking about the second apron, I know that people's eyes glaze over. It's terribly named. It's very complicated. But the Phoenix Suns can't take back more money than they send out. And Kevin Durant makes a humongous amount of money. He makes over $50 million. So anybody that has a dream of wanting Kevin Durant has to realize you're going to have to send the Suns players and you're going to have to send the Suns more money. So when you start dreaming up your Kevin Durant trade scenarios, whether it's New York or anywhere else, you got to realize you're going to have to send some real talent and some real money for him. And so keep that in mind. When you, and the Knicks, that's what the Knicks have to consider. They already have a shallow team. If they trade for Durant, they're going to take on more money. There's no other way to do the trade legally unless you bring in third or fourth teams.
That said, I appreciate all of that. That said, if any team has behaved like they are all in to win right now, it is the Knicks. You don't fire your coach after making the conference final for the first time in a quarter century unless you think next year we are winning the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't fire a coach who's won back-to-back 50 wins, who's fourth on the list, all-time list in franchise history in wins, a guy that brought back a standard to your franchise. You don't make a move like that just because the players weren't happy and wanted to move on. You got to have a plan in place already. You had to already know. And Wendy knows this. We all know this. There's always back-channel conversations. You already know who isn't really comfortable where they are, who might want out. Jason Kidd has done this before, as Wendy has said, but it is also whispers that even before the Luka trade, there was some thought that he might be kind of done in Dallas and wanted to move on. And New York would be a place for him. And if you're the Knicks, that's what you do. You have the might, you have the money, you have all the ability to swing big now.
That little Hembo pop up there I thought was fascinating. The Knicks 10-1, the Mavericks 28-1
what do they know?
to win the